And new at 5 o'clock, there's more trouble for 11th District Congressman Madison Cawthorn.
The Federal Election Commission says his latest financial report is overdue. News 13's Karen Zatkalak found out what penalties this could mean for the congressman.
This letter was sent to Representative Madison Cawthorn from the Federal Election Commission last week, demanding that he file his July quarterly financial report immediately.
That is not an indication that he has, had any misuse of funds necessarily on this report. Eventually, this information is going to see the light of day. It's just a matter of when, what it shows, and what his penalties are in the meantime.
Political analyst Chris Cooper says there's no excuse for this. All representatives file these reports about their fundraising and spending each quarter. According to the FEC, from January of 2021 to the end of April of this year, Cawthorn's campaign has raised nearly $3.7 million, and over the same time period, spent slightly less, about $3.6 million. What's missing is how much has been brought in and spent from April to June.
His fundraising and spending numbers have been the source of a lot of speculation, a lot of attention. Madison Cawthorn is a prodigious fundraiser. He's also a prodigious spender. And a lot of people have raised questions about his expenditures in the past.
A spokesperson for the FEC tells us they send out notices like the one to Cawthorn routinely when deadlines, like the one on July 15th, are missed. We're told any fines or punishment are up to the commission.
I think the most likely outcome is that he gets a fine, that he gets essentially a public shaming. But there is a possibility for something a little bit more severe, for some real criminal penalties to occur here.
Karen Zatkalak, News 13.
We reached out to Congressman Madison Cawthorn's office for comment. We have not heard back.
The state of emergency for COVID in North Carolina ends next Monday. It has been in effect since March 2020.
News 13's Anjali Patel breaks down what this means for the state's COVID-19 response as viral transmission picks back up.
It's been 29 months since the state of emergency for COVID-19 began in North Carolina. Now it's set to end in less than a week, but the pandemic is far from over. COVID-19 is something we're going to have to live with.
Being able to stop transmission completely was certainly the hope, but not necessarily realistic.
It's a reality we've come to accept 2+ years into a global pandemic. Cases are ramping back up in many places.
There are more cases of COVID. We're averaging about 340 cases in Henderson County a week.
With some precautions going back into effect. For example, starting this week, all visitors to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park are required to wear a mask inside all buildings. That's consistent with CDC guidance regarding areas of substantial or high transmission.
I would not be surprised if we're probably around the same rates as we were during the Omicron surge, that was so huge.
This as the COVID-19 state of emergency in North Carolina will end in a matter of days. But officials emphasize the state will still be able to respond to COVID-19. A spokesperson for Governor Roy Cooper saying, quote, DHHS requested changes to state law so the department can continue to ensure that North Carolina's healthcare providers and system can remain adequately staffed, continue to administer vaccines and tests, and protect people's health. Provisions in the state budget maintaining that flexibility to respond as COVID-19 ebbs and flows. Thankfully, Henderson County officials say the current wave is not overwhelming hospitals. That's thanks to a milder strain, vaccinations, people having had COVID, as well as widely available at-home testing. All of this making officials feel better prepared for the rise in cases the fall will likely bring.
It is inevitable there will be more COVID cases once kids go back to school.
With important knowledge gained and life-saving resources at our fingertips, something that once warranted a state of emergency, feeling less emergent now.
I feel like the sense of suffocating urgency has begun to lighten.
Another new housing development wants to make its way into Buncombe County, but some residents living in the Asheville neighborhood where it would go are not letting it happen without a fight.
News 13's Kristen Aguirre was at the County Board of Adjustments meeting today where the proposal was discussed, and she breaks down the new developments and talks to neighbors about their concerns.
Now, the proposed site will go behind me at the end of Pinnacle View Drive, but for residents living near here, the real issue is traffic down this road. Kristen Skipper and her family have owned property on Pinnacle View Drive for nearly 80 years.
It's a small, quiet little neighborhood. Most people have been here for a long time, a lot of older folks.
So last week when she received a letter saying Trilogy Inc. wanted to build 73 townhome units across 40 buildings in her neighborhood, she was stunned. And when you read that letter, what was your initial reaction?
Panic.
Even some neighbors across the way at Biltmore Terrace oppose the development.
I'm concerned about the road that Pinnacle View would access is School Road. It's narrow, there's no sidewalks, it gets a lot of traffic now, so what would another 140 cars do to the traffic on that? What would the environmental impact be, because we have a lot of wildlife?
Holly Reif was at the board meeting Wednesday to voice her concerns on the development.
If approved, they would be going in directly across from the street where my neighborhood is.
What's your biggest concern with them?
The traffic.
Welcome, everyone.
A Trilogy representative at the meeting said they actually wanted to hear more from residents and requested a 30-day continuance.
Talk to us. Get our opinions, get our input. Let's maybe pare it down a little bit.
The situation where they could justify how they would handle the road impacts, how they would handle the traffic, how they would handle water issues, environmental concerns.
Now, the vote on this issue was tabled for another 30 days so that the developer could address issues with local residents. We'll continue to follow the story and bring you more updates as they become available. Reporting in Buncombe County, Kristen Aguirre, News 13.